Hey guys, in today's video we're going to talk about Charles Leclerc, who won the United States Grand Prix with authority, Ferrari's 1-2 finish, including the first Ferrari 1-2 in the US since 2006. And of course, we're also going to talk about the Verstappen and Norris controversy. The race had its moments, right? It wasn't as exciting as the sprint race, but it had its moments. In fact, right at the start, we had one of those moments with the battle between Norris and Verstappen, and Leclerc overtaking everyone. Norris was closing in on Verstappen, but he didn't close enough, and Verstappen surprised the Brit, diving on the inside and making a great move. But in the end, it didn't fully pay off because Leclerc took advantage of the whole situation, starting from fourth, and made the pass, gaining 3 positions. From then on, it was just a matter of holding the result. There was a safety car, true, but after that, it was smooth sailing for Leclerc. He won with a lot of authority. But we do need to make an observation about Leclerc. He gave a performance that's expected of him. I've said this several times on my social media. His problem is that sometimes he makes a few mistakes, right? But in this race, he was flawless, drove really strong, had an exceptional start, controlled the entire race, and built such a big lead that we even started wondering, is he pushing too hard? Will the pit stop window work out? But in the end, Ferrari didn't mess up the car's setup, and as a result, they had a fantastic performance. They were by far the best team in the race, with Carlos Sainz finishing second. So, Ferrari put on a beautiful display with both of their drivers and deserved the result. It was really impressive what Ferrari achieved. Let's hope Ferrari becomes another team fighting at the front because we can only benefit from that. The championship gets way more interesting, and the races get much better with more people fighting at the front. So, Leclerc and Ferrari drove really well, delivering on what we saw on Friday in terms of race pace. In qualifying, Ferrari's pace is still a bit lacking, but in the race, at least today in Austin, and yesterday in the sprint race, it was absolutely fantastic. Now I imagine you guys want to hear about the Verstappen and Norris controversy. Let's focus on that now. At the first corner, we already saw that the battle would be interesting. Verstappen was aggressive towards Norris, who should have closed the gap a bit more. Norris wasn't expecting Verstappen to take such a big risk. For Verstappen, the crash would have been a gain, right? If both of them retired, it wouldn't matter. Towards the end of the race, Norris, with a strategy of extending the stint, had fresher tires, and the McLaren, as it gets lighter, becomes faster than the others. This remains a characteristic of McLaren, even after the updates. Now let's talk a bit about Russell and Bottas. Russell made a pass on Bottas on lap 13 and was penalized for forcing Bottas off the track. I'll give my verdict here. Those of you who follow me know that I'm in favor of letting the guys race. If you don't want them to force each other off, put gravel on the track. The cars are gigantic, the tracks haven't grown. You need to find some way to overtake, and Russell was aggressive, just like many other drivers were throughout the race. We saw aggression all the time, but he was penalized. Meanwhile, Verstappen forced Norris off the track and wasn't penalized. Which makes me ask, what's the criteria? Russell was penalized for doing exactly the same thing Verstappen did, but Verstappen wasn't penalized. For Verstappen, it doesn't matter, he's still at the front. But Norris, who needed to take 9 points off Verstappen per weekend to fight for the title, is now down by 5 points. In my opinion, Verstappen's move was normal, just like Russell's. I wouldn't have penalized either of them. Verstappen defended his position as he should, and Norris was harmed, but that's racing. Both are fighting for the title. But then F1 has this rulebook that is, at the very least, inconsistent. In one race, something is penalized, in another, the same thing goes unnoticed. It doesn't make sense. The takeaway is the lack of consistent criteria. Overtakes and aggressive defenses are part of the sport, and in many cases, like with Russell and Bottas or Verstappen and Norris, the drivers are simply racing at the limit. However, penalizing one and absolving the other shows a disparity in the interpretation of the rules. The championship fight is still tight, with Verstappen at the peak of his form and Norris facing big challenges. The battle between them promises to be intense, but with Red Bull at its current level, Verstappen already seems way ahead. Still, the race once again showed how steward decisions can impact the course of the championship, something that needs to be looked at more carefully. This was another race of the season full of controversies, and the inconsistency of the stewards remains a problem. I've been complaining about this for years, and I've never seen any sign of improvement. Let's see how this will affect the rest of the championship, but for now, we can only regret the lack of consistency in the decisions. Let's wait for the next chapters of this exciting season. Don't forget to leave your like on the video and subscribe to follow more content about Formula 1.